Every civilization leaves clues to how it fought. Ours may not be remembered so much for what we built, but for what we chose to outsource. Here in Oxford, the stones themselves seem to listen. They've had centuries to understand meaning. This isn't about search bars. This isn't about algorithms. This is purely minds wrestling to find meaning and purpose. Now, the pace of life has become a measure of intellect. We mistake movement for progress, and the faster we produce, the smarter we think that we are. But intelligence isn't some kind of race against time. It's the courage to stay with a question until that question itself starts to change you. It's about listening long enough to hear what's really going on. We built machines that can mimic imagination. They write, they design, they even compose, and all in seconds. But too often, we lazily reach, and in fact are encouraged to reach, for a model before we stretch the depths of the question. Speed answers the surface. Thought reveals the shape that is beneath. The job hasn't actually gone as such, but what has happened, and is increasingly happening, is that it's thinned out to become a mechanical process. This is not an argument against AI, none of this. I am an incredibly strong advocate for AI. I teach it to some seriously talented people around the world. You see, what this is really about is an argument for putting your thinking back in front. So go ahead, use the tool, but only after the mind has walked the problem and asked better questions. I want you to test a few wrong turns along the way. Recent studies report a very simple pattern, and it's this. The more blindly we trust AI to do the so-called heavy lifting, the less weight we give to our own thinking. And that is a dangerous path to follow. Effort is not the enemy of joy. The thrill of effort is not about nostalgia. It's all about neurology. You see, as adults, when we return to hobbies that we used to love as kids, such as reading, writing, painting, building with blocks, the brain's reward system kind of sparkles back into life. We are hardwired for discovery. Your mind, all our minds, crave friction. It is the stretch between confusion and clarity, between I can't and I can. When we hand that stretch to a machine, we don't just lose a skill, we silence the very part of our brain that reminds us that we are alive. Pleasure is not about the absence of effort. It's about the pulse that comes from doing something that frankly is difficult. And in doing so, we start to discover something, which is very much to our surprise. We discover that it all feels like a eureka moment. It feels like discovery. The challenge isn't to compete with AI, but to collaborate with it, to move from execution to vision, from reaction to direction. Traditional roles are changing incredibly rapidly, but with the right guidance, you have an amazing opportunity. You can become more than a producer of safe but bland output. You have indeed the potential to become a creator of meaning. This isn't about speed, but learning how to prompt with purpose, and that requires a sense of discernment. Think of AI as the world's brightest and fastest intern. It's brilliant, it's tireless, it's eager to please, but still learning what matters. And you are the person who's guiding it. Actual intelligence isn't anti-AI. It's applying human intelligence to make AI more useful. And to do that, I strongly believe that in addition to getting the prompt right, what this calls for is a greater understanding of traditional skills. I'm talking about copywriting. I'm talking about marketing strategy. I'm talking about leadership, brand storytelling, and even design. Because when you understand the principles of such issues, you can build upon those principles and then guide the AI to support rather than replace you. And in our era of uncertainty, that surely must be something that's worth investing in for you, your organization, and of course your teams. Smarter minds make smarter AI. Now, if your team wants to prompt smarter, then why not reach out and start thinking smarter? Learn how to once again relish creativity, critical thinking, and brand storytelling. These are the human skills that make AI intelligent.